By the time I felt the intense, gloomy gaze of the campus queen for the 10th time today, I literally saw a floating comment scroll by in mid-air. The female lead has time-traveled back 15 years, only to find out her current hubby is still someone else's boyfriend. The sky is falling. She pined for him for years, went through hell to finally bag her man, and now she has to start from scratch. Felix has a girlfriend right now, so our main girl just has to suffer in silence. But honestly, I feel like this grown-ass woman isn't going to just sit back and take it like her 19-year-old self would. Sure enough, the very next second, my phone buzzed with an anonymous text. "Hello there. Quick question, could you break up? Or alternatively, would you mind having a bonus girlfriend? I promise that before you break up, I will be a good little secret agent and hide in the shadows." The bell for the elective class just rang. I was packing up my books when a female classmate sitting right behind me suddenly poked my back gently with her pen. When I turned around, I saw her looking a bit nervous, her head bowed down. "Felix, could you help me take a look at this problem?" I gave a nod, grabbed her advanced calculus textbook, and jotted down the solution. "Got it?" After finishing the explanation, I looked up at the girl. The girl looked like her soul had just rebooted, her ears glowing tomato red as she shyly nodded. "Understood. Felix, you're seriously amazing." I flashed her a polite standard-issue smile. "Don't mention it. If there's any problem you don't understand in the future, just ask me." The words barely left my mouth when I immediately felt that horror movie death glare lock onto me again. I tilted my head and looked at Bianca sitting diagonally in the front. Sparkling eyes, a perfect high nose bridge, and porcelain skin that made her deep abyss-like dark eyes pop. Right now, she was shooting literal daggers at the girl who had just smiled at me. Seeing me look over, her eyes flickered. The death glare instantly melted into a puddle of absolute loneliness and sorrow, looking exactly like a pathetic little puppy that just got abandoned by its owner. This exact scenario had already happened for the 10th time today. Since early morning, whenever any girl talked to me, whether it was a classmate asking for my number on the street, or a senior girl chatting in the club, she would spawn with pinpoint accuracy, standing in a corner silently watching them. And when I caught her looking, her eyelashes would tremble, looking both pitiful and totally isolated. This was way too abnormal. Obviously, she and I had absolutely zero connection before this. I only knew her as the campus queen of S University, known for her ice-cold personality majoring in IT. I rarely stayed on campus outside of class hours and didn't live in the dorms either. I racked my brain but couldn't figure out how on earth I had pissed her off. Just as I couldn't hold back anymore and wanted to walk over and ask her what her deal was, a whole barrage of floating comments suddenly popped up right in front of my eyes. A 29-year-old auntie will absolutely stare a hole through her husband. Meanwhile, the 19-year-old Bianca is just silently telling herself she has no right to be jealous. Ha ha ha! The desperate housewife is internally screaming, "Every woman approaching my hubby is up to no good!" The female lead time traveled from 29 back to 19. Her hubby is currently someone else's boyfriend. The sky has already collapsed, and these random chicks keep chatting him up, making it even more annoying. Pined for him for years, went through hell to finally get the hubby, and now she has to play New Game Plus, who wouldn't go completely insane. I blinked a few times, making sure I wasn't hallucinating. Bianca had a crush on me? And she's my future wife? So the one right now isn't the 19-year-old Bianca, but my wife, Bianca, who time-traveled back from the future. I was completely dumbfounded, trying to process this massive info dump. The floating comments popped up again. There's nothing she can do. Felix is currently dating his childhood friend. The female lead just has to endure it. But I really feel like this big sister won't hold back like her 19-year-old self did. Dating? Oh, I remember now. Previously, that little brat Chloe dated some rich playboy from their department and got dumped. Then, she actually got invited to his birthday party. She blew her entire month's allowance to hire me to play her fake boyfriend, just to save face. I wasn't short on cash, but Chloe was so annoying, buzzing in my ear every single day. I couldn't take it anymore, so I agreed to help her out. Did Bianca happen to see us that day? While I was secretly roasting my totally useless childhood friend, she texted me, "Felix! Emergency! Save me!" I was just about to type a reply when the back door of the classroom was violently shoved open. Chloe, looking all energetic and wild but currently panicking, grabbed my backpack with one hand and yanked me outside with the other. "Chloe! Bang!" The chair was violently pushed back, making a loud noise that cut off my words and completely froze the actions of both me and Chloe. Turning my head, I saw Bianca standing against the light, her jaw clenched tight, staring dead at the spot where Chloe was holding my hand. Her eyes were glinting with a mix of devastating collapse, pain, and intense longing. Then, she softly squeezed out a raspy voice, "Sorry, I stood up too fast. Didn't scare you guys, did I?" Chloe, still dragging me, who hadn't even processed the situation yet, hurriedly rushed outside, dropping a quick reply. "It's fine, sis, rushing after class, I totally get it." The chat overlay went absolutely wild over this scene. She definitely can't hold it in anymore this time. To hell with excellent student, to hell with moral boundaries, to hell with playing the long game. Sweep it all away. I want my hubby back. No! Stop triggering this desperate housewife. I feel like she's legitimately about to snap. Felix, don't go! Felix, Iris called the scene just now. Why did I feel like this really made Bianca look like a desperate wife abandoned by her husband? Felix! My good kind Felix, my benevolent male god! You don't have classes later, right? Kevin is coming to the gathering later, and he's bringing his new girlfriend. Come with me. Outside the campus, Chloe leaned against her shiny new sports car, pressing her hands together in a begging gesture towards me. Chloe, you seriously have a mental problem. I'm not acting anymore. Playing pretend with you is ruining all my actual romantic prospects. Thinking of Bianca, my gaze coldly swept past Chloe as I ruthlessly rejected her. Chloe froze for a second, looking at me with a hyped-up expression. Romantic prospects? Weren't you always zero interest in that stuff? What's going on? Did someone catch your eye? None of your business. You're allowed to date, but I'm not? I shot her a side eye. Whatever. If you won't help, I'll find someone else. A beauty like me won't struggle. It's you who needs to be careful not to get scammed by some gold digger. Do you want me to generously act as your wingwoman and screen them for you? And another thing, when we graduate and go abroad, stuck in a foreign land, don't you dare beg this lady to take care of you. Chloe fired off, her features sharp and her words full of sarcasm. I lightly kicked the tire of her precious car, smiling a totally fake smile. Cure your sense of direction first, alright? Who's taking care of who, huh? While we were bickering, the floating comments popped up again. Oh my god, so Felix's dating thing was just fake? Just acting? Ha 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 ha! Bianca's sky is collapsing even harder now. In her past life, she pined for him from high school all the way through college. She didn't even dare to use a business collaboration as an excuse to approach the male lead until Felix came back from studying abroad and they met at a banquet. This is the exact consequence of keeping your mouth shut. If only she had bravely asked Felix back then. Oh well, 19-year-old Bianca had nothing to her name. Felix and Chloe were childhood friends, a perfect match in social status. Looking at her acting like a big boss lady later on, she probably didn't dare to ask either. Of course she didn't dare to ask. After all, when the female lead initially sought him out for a marriage of convenience, she pitched it as a win-win deal. She always thought it was just a transaction. Later on, she even secretly transferred the vast majority of her assets to the male lead's name. While I was intently reading the scrolling comments, my phone suddenly vibrated. The screen lit up with an anonymous text. Hello there. Quick question, could you break up? I froze. Before I could react, another text rolled in. Or alternatively, would you mind having a bonus girlfriend? I promise that before you break up, I will be a good little secret agent and hide in the shadows. My fingertip hovered over the screen. I typed out 6 letters, BIANCA. I was debating whether to hit send when Chloe suddenly leaned in close. Who's that? The new romantic prospect you've got your eye on. My hand flinched. I accidentally hit send. My temple throbbed. I locked my phone screen and glared at Chloe with a dark, murderous look. What's the big deal? Acting like it's top secret? Chloe snorted, putting on a cold face. Unlock the car, I'll drive you back. No need. Tyler invited me for afternoon tea. You go on your own. Hearing Tyler's name, Chloe decisively hopped into her car. The engine roared and she sped off. Where's that brat Chloe? This young master has been back in the country for days, and she hasn't even come to pay her respects? Tyler brushed his thick bangs back, his handsome face showing sheer displeasure. I lounged in the chair, absent-mindedly sipping my boba tea, explaining to the childhood buddy who grew up with me and Chloe. She said last time you came back, you dragged her to be your photography model to practice your skills. You cursed her out while shooting and left her traumatized. Tyler's mouth twitched into a cold smirk. Relax, I don't even care about her right now. A few days ago, walking past an auto repair shop, I spotted an absolute top-tier stunner. I'll drive you over to see later. I want her to be my muse for practice. Top-tier stunner? The image of Bianca flashed through my mind. I took out my phone and gently tapped the screen. No new messages. My eyebrow twitched slightly. In the evening, Tyler drove his brand new car and took me to that auto repair shop. The boss's eyes lit up as he ran out to greet us, but before he could even speak, Tyler pointed at a woman not far away. Let her do it. The woman looked up, her gaze icy cold, but the moment she saw me, she completely froze. I looked at Bianca. She was wearing a pristine white one-piece dress, her alluring figure and long slender legs vaguely visible under the hem. The corner of my mouth slightly curled up. Well, top tier, isn't she? Absolute golden ratio for the camera. Tyler's eyes were practically burning with artistic passion. Yeah, top tier indeed, I replied softly, watching Bianca slowly approach. Bianca's hands, with their long, slender fingers tucked into gloves, glided over every detail of the car's body. Hey, gorgeous, what's your name? You work here? How much do they pay you? Any interest in a super easy, highly paid job? Tyler threw his arm over my shoulder, acting enthusiastic like a total scammer. Bianca didn't even look up, but she replied politely, keeping it brief. Bianca, just helping a friend out occasionally. Not interested. Tyler pouted. He glanced at his phone, which was lighting up, and walked to the side to take the call looking pretty unamused. But my eyes were glued to Bianca's slender back, casually sizing her up. Bianca's movements paused slightly. Then she stood up and peeled off her gloves. I stared right at her and said slowly, "You don't have anything you want to say to me?" Bianca's eyes darted around. She looked like she was struggling to speak. I waited with infinite patience. When the glove in her hand was squeezed until it was almost deformed, she finally opened her mouth. But she only managed to squeeze out the word "just" before stopping again. Following her gaze, I saw Tyler walking back in with a look of utter grievance. He angrily tossed the car keys straight into my chest. "Felix, my mom just raided my place to check up on me. Drive the car back for me. I'll pick it up whenever." Tyler's mom had previously strictly forbidden him from driving. She even froze his credit cards over it once. I noticed Bianca staring intensely at the bunch of keys, her eyebrows knitting together slightly. After Tyler left, I jingled the keys in my hand. "What, you want a ride?" I really only intended to tease her. As a result, the woman's long, powerful fingers slapped down firmly on the car hood, her black hair cascading down. "Can I drive? I'll take you home." My eyebrow arched. I was just thinking she was purposely acting cute when the floating comments rolled by again. The moment she saw hubby about to ride a motorcycle, Bianca's hair stood on end. Bianca will probably never forget the incident where the male led, right after high school graduation, went driving with friends, flipped the car, and ended up in the hospital, right? Back then, she went to the hospital every single day, just standing from afar, peeking at the male lead through the crack in the door. I thought about it for a second. Yeah, that actually happened. Looks like this chat comment wasn't lying. I tossed the spare helmet into Bianca's hands and winked at her. "Sure thing." Next, looking at Bianca adjusting her helmet in front of me, I casually wrapped my arms around her waist. She stiffened for a second, her whole body tense as if desperately trying to suppress something, yet simultaneously radiating a secret, thrilling excitement. Bianca drove very steadily, not too fast. So by the time we arrived at my place, we were both a little damp from the rain. I stood in the elevator, pressing the floor button, looking at Bianca standing outside. Her facial features were soft, her hair slightly messy from taking off the helmet, carrying a cold aura that somehow didn't seem to belong to her. The damp edge of her dress clung loosely to her body, but she just stood there facing the elevator doors as they slowly started to close. I casually, lazily called out, "Bianca, want to come up and wait for the rain to stop?" The surroundings were dead silent, with no reply. Suddenly, bam! Just as the doors were about to shut, Bianca's trembling hand violently grabbed the door frame. Her dark eyes surged with an overwhelming intensity, and the rims of her eyes looked a bit red again. I chuckled, stepping aside to make room for her. Entering my place, I flicked on the lights and spoke to the person behind me without looking back. "You want to take a shower, or just do a quick wipe down with a towel?" Saying that, I glanced out the window. This sudden downpour was probably going to last a while. "A towel is fine." Bianca stood in the entryway, refusing to step fully into my territory. It was like she was desperately trying to restrain herself from crossing some invisible boundary. I looked at her and laughed out loud. "When you sent me those texts, did you have this exact same expression? Got the guts to follow me home, but not the guts to strip in front of me?" Bianca's face flushed an even deeper shade of red. The light cast shadows over her cheekbones. I poured a glass of water, leaning against the counter, my eyes slowly trailing over her body. "Bianca, ever since I was a kid, I've only ever liked the absolute best things." Bianca briefly raised her eyes, perfectly catching my meaning. Amidst the rumbling thunder, she took slow steps toward me. Decisively, she stripped off her soaking wet jacket, fully exposing her alluring, slender figure. The red string around her neck slid down along with her swallowing throat, resting just below her collarbone. Hanging there was a small peace-lock charm. My gaze traced the peace lock. In a flash, she was right in front of me, leaning in slightly, her two hands planted on the counter on either side of me, completely trapping me in her personal space. "Are you satisfied, young Master Felix?" Her breath brushed past my ear, carrying a mix of nervousness and heavy anticipation. I tilted my head, eyes slightly lifted. My gaze slowly traveled downward from her neck, until my vision was suddenly plunged into darkness by a hand covering my eyes. I heard Bianca's voice, raspy and heavily suppressed. "I want to be your girlfriend, not just to do this with you." Then came the sound of hurried, panicked footsteps fleeing straight toward the bathroom. By the time Bianca came out, I had long since finished showering in the other bathroom. "You took your sweet time, Bianca." I stood by the water dispenser, looking at the woman who had casually slicked back her wet hair. Why didn't this person radiate any body heat at all? While I was wondering, I noticed Bianca staring dead at a red mark on my collarbone. The hand holding her towel was shaking slightly. "What? What's wrong?" I looked at her and asked. Her chest heaved for a moment before she forcibly reined in her emotions. Nothing. Are you hungry? Not really. There's watermelon in the fridge. Take some out and eat it. I flopped onto the sofa, shifting into a comfortable position. Bianca grabbed a throw pillow next to her, wedged it behind my back, and then turned to walk into the kitchen. I stared at her silent back, recalling the look in her eyes just now. She looked exactly like a balloon that had lost all its owner's affection. While I was feeling confused, the floating comments popped up again. Is Bianca stupid? Can't she tell that's just a scratch mark from his own hand? Ha 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 ha, people in love are truly blind. Bianca, it's okay. Everyone else is just a passing guest. You are hubby's true home. What the hell is this? Muttering to myself, I walked over to the mirror. A small red mark I had scratched out of itchiness sat right on my collarbone, painfully obvious. I touched the red mark, leaning closer to the mirror. A noise came from behind. I turned around. Bianca was holding a plate of freshly cut watermelon, looking at me with red-rimmed eyes, tears glistening within them. After a long pause, she squeezed out a smile. Eat some watermelon. I took a bite of the watermelon and started to explain. Bianca, that mark is… The rain stopped. Bianca's gentle voice cut me off. Her eyes looked at me with a pleading expression. Then she hurriedly changed into her newly tumble-dried clothes, grabbed the trash bag, and practically bolted from my apartment. The next day, during a general elective class, I was passed out asleep in the back row. Dazedly, I heard a soft rustling from the seat next to me. Someone gently draped a jacket over my shoulders. A warm feeling slowly spread over me. I cracked an eye open and saw Bianca entirely focused on her laptop, her fingers flying across the keyboard. Thanks. Having dropped that one word, I instantly fell back asleep. The moment the dismissal bell rang, Tyler and Chloe burst into the classroom, causing a racket. Felix, let's go out! I found a restaurant with amazing decor! Oh, you came to find Felix too? Tyler stared intently at Bianca, that fiery artistic passion igniting in his eyes all over again. Bianca shut her laptop and gave Tyler a polite nod. I simply stood up and handed the jacket back to her. Her gaze subtly swept over Chloe, who was looking down and booking a table at the restaurant, and then she slowly took the jacket. Tyler's eyes darted back and forth between me and Bianca. His eyebrows shot up as he turned to her and extended his hand. Hello there. Let's properly introduce ourselves. I'm Tyler, a photographer. I'd love to hire you as my model. The pay is generous. Think about it. Bianca politely shook his hand. Sorry, I have other commitments. Then she grabbed her laptop, stood up, and started to walk out. Tyler sighed heavily and pinched my cheek. Felix, man, you promised to model for me once. Heck, I wanted to shoot a couple set for the two of you. Now I can't even get a model for you. So depressing. My mouth twitched. When exactly did I promise to be his model? Chloe, having finally finished booking the table, perked up upon hearing this. What do you mean you can't find one? Ain't I a ready-made model right here? Me and Felix, with these looks, were a match made in heaven. Tyler and I rolled our eyes simultaneously. Just as I was about to speak, a shadow completely enveloped me. Bianca, who had just walked away, came right back. She pursed her lips, looking at Tyler. Do you still need someone? Tyler narrowed his fox-like eyes, flashing a smug, triumphant grin. Obviously. Bianca, does Felix have poison on him? Why are you standing so far away? Get closer. Felix, wrap your arm around her neck. I'm shooting a couple's portrait, not a passport photo. Tyler held his camera with one hand and pointed at me and Bianca with the other. I draped my arm over the woman's neck, our noses just centimeters apart. I lowered my voice. High pay, plus it's a trap, and you're still acting this unprofessional? It's not for the money. I let out a soft "oh," casually glancing at Chloe, who was standing to the side with a face like thunder, and drawled lazily. Bianca, your hands are shaking a bit. Afraid of Chloe? I dragged out my words, deliberately teasing her. I felt the grip on my waist suddenly tighten, then gently loosen, clearly not wanting to hurt me. Felix, Bianca, switch poses! Tyler's fingertips hovered over the camera as he directed a few poses for us. Bianca moved behind me, her arms wrapping around my waist from the back, her whole body leaning against mine, resting her chin on my shoulder. A faint, pleasant scent coming from her completely enveloped me. If it's a fake couple shoot, do you really need to be this intimate? Chloe stood up from her chair, her face looking incredibly dark. Felix, does Tyler have some blackmail material on you or something? Amidst the bickering, I felt a feather-light kiss drop onto the back of my neck. Hot breath brushed against my skin, sending a tingling sensation running through me. I'm not afraid of Chloe. I'm only afraid of making things difficult for you. Bianca's voice was low and soft, carrying absolute indulgence and a dangerous charm. By the time we finished shooting 3 outfits, it was already late afternoon. All done. Great job, everyone. Lunch is on me, at that exact restaurant Chloe booked. Tyler packed up his camera, looking absolutely thrilled. Eating from the family pot, but serving the neighbors, you ungrateful jerk! Chloe walked up behind the two of us, bitterly tossing out an idiom for each of us. Then she spun around, muttering curses under her breath, and went to call the restaurant to confirm the menu. Bianca likes you. Tyler ran a hand through his hair, squinting at the tightly closed door of the dressing room. I know, I smiled at him. Tyler stared at me for a long time, then casually shrugged. You into her? Yeah, I'm interested, but not quite at the like stage yet. I raised an eyebrow without saying anything, glancing at the time on my phone. I gotta go. Where to? Not eating? It's the end of the month. I waved my phone at Tyler. Every end of the month, returning to the old Felix family mansion for dinner to complete the family theater act, maintaining basic politeness, was an unwritten rule in our family. At the dining table, the maids served dishes and poured wine in perfect sync, moving without making a single sound, their faces completely expressionless. The old Felix mansion was already devoid of any human warmth, and today it felt even colder. I looked at my stern grandfather at the head of the table, and my parents sitting next to me, sharing a bed but dreaming different dreams. As the product of their strategic alliance marriage, from the moment I was born, I was forgotten in this massive house. Going to school, getting sick, being hospitalized, no one ever asked about me. I only saw them at the end of the month to perform a family play, maintaining their polished facade so outsiders would think the Felix family was harmonious and the couple deeply in love. I had lived like this for 19 years. Why was I suddenly feeling like I wasn't used to it anymore? While I was lost in thought, the floating comments, which hadn't shown up in a while, popped back out. Oh my god, this suffocating atmosphere is starting to scare me. But it seems like the male lead never ever told Bianca about his family. Later on, the male lead almost never went back home. He definitely wouldn't talk much about it with her either. I stared at the comments and pursed my lips. Maybe it wasn't that I intentionally hid it. It was just that I was so used to it back then, I didn't think it was a big deal. I pulled out my phone, found Bianca's avatar, and stared at the empty chat history. I typed 3 words and sent, "What you doing?" The reply came back blazing fast, "Doing homework." Attached was a photo, long, slender, snow-white hands resting on a laptop keyboard. It instantly reminded me of the image of her being a car model, her fingers gliding over the surface inch by inch. My eyes trembled slightly. I tapped the screen. "I'm hungry." The chat box continuously showed typing. I let out an amused smile, feeling exactly like I was teasing a little puppy. My mood suddenly felt a lot better. I generously typed a few more words, "Starving. Come to my place and cook." The other side was silent for a long time before timidly replying with one word, "Okay. Do you need me to tell you what I like to eat?" I know. Just as Bianca said, she knew. On a table full of food, there wasn't a single dish I didn't like. Moreover, her cooking skills were absolutely top tier. I watched the woman washing dishes in the kitchen. Honestly speaking, if I hadn't seen the floating comments, I would seriously suspect Bianca was a honey trap sent by some rival company. She was like a product custom-tailored perfectly for me. From head to toe, inside and out, totally my type. While I was thinking, a steaming hot mug of cold medicine was placed right in front of me. Bianca's fingertips were slightly pink. "You coughed a few times today. Drink this first to prevent catching a cold." I sat on the sofa, using my eyes to signal her. She let out a soft sigh, brought the mug up to my mouth, and let me lean against her hand to drink all the medicine before popping a piece of candy into my mouth. "Coaxing a toddler," I mumbled with candy in my mouth, glancing at her. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly, her voice incredibly gentle. "So, is your mood a little better now?" My eyes locked onto her. I grabbed her wrist, effortlessly pushing her down onto the sofa, throwing my long legs over and straddling her lap. "Felix!" Bianca placed a hand on either side of me, desperately trying to hold back from touching me. "Bianca, want a reward!" I pinched her cheek and looked down at her. Storms brewed in Bianca's dark eyes. Her breathing gradually grew heavy. Just as she was about to speak, I pressed my lips against hers. "Let's see if this cold medicine works. Aren't you afraid I'll infect you?" The very next second, my waist was gripped tightly. Our lips and tongues tangled fiercely, entirely possessing me. I felt her breathing, a strange, numbing sensation spreading all over my body. My hands gripped Bianca's waist tight. She couldn't help but let out a soft moan. She buried her face in my neck, panting heavily. I licked my slightly numb lips, feeling Bianca slowly calm down. "Bianca, what you just did!" Bianca slapped a hand over my mouth. "I have to go home now." Watching Bianca's straight back as she practically bolted out the door, I leaned against the sofa, the corners of my mouth ticking upward. This person really is good at holding back. Facts proved that Bianca was exceptionally good at holding back. In the time that followed, Bianca and I seemed to reach an unspoken agreement. Every day she didn't have classes, she would come over to cook, do laundry, and clean the house for me. Many times, watching Bianca's back as she chopped vegetables, looking at her side profile as she hung laundry under the sun, as well as the fresh flower bouquets, the soft rugs that suddenly appeared in my apartment, and the books she accidentally left behind, I suddenly felt like life had become vibrant and real. This place, which I originally just used to escape the old Felix mansion, suddenly gained a magical sense of attachment. But Bianca never stayed the night. There was only one time I had a terrible stomachache. She sat by my bed, using one hand to massage my stomach while I drifted half asleep, and using the other hand to scroll through documents on her laptop. It was also then that I realized Bianca seemed to be incredibly busy. But she didn't say anything, and I didn't ask, until I saw her at a business banquet I was attending on behalf of my parents. Amidst the clinking of wine glasses, I saw Bianca standing elegantly and gently in the middle of the crowd. Her hair was swept back, completely revealing a face that could ruin nations. Her tall figure and long legs made her stand out instantly in the crowd. I was just about to walk over when the floating comments started scrolling before my eyes. Is this Bianca creating that software she made in her junior year ahead of schedule? Her first pot of gold, right? And then she starts founding her company. Is this the perk of time traveling? Literally using cheat codes. I want to time travel back and buy lottery tickets too. Meeting the male lead so early. She must be super anxious to grow up faster and become powerful. My footsteps halted. So this is what she had been so busy with all this time. So you're the Bianca that old Mr. Jones keeps talking about. He brought you here to let you youngsters broaden your horizons, right? He mentioned your software plan to me. You really are a talent. If there's a chance, we can collaborate. Not far away, I saw a rather sleazy-looking man standing in front of Bianca, holding a wine glass and smirking at her. You flatter me, sir, Bianca replied politely. The man placed the wine glass he was holding onto the table, pushing it toward Bianca. Hope we have a happy collaboration in the future. Bianca stared dead at the wine glass. Her eyes darkened, but her expression remained calm. I apologize. I'm not feeling well today. Mr. Smith, you're over here? Before Bianca could finish her sentence, I walked up beside the man with a bright smile. Mr. Smith, your memory sure is something. I just saw Mr. Wang looking for you everywhere. I felt Bianca's gaze on me as I casually spouted nonsense. After the man scurried off, I picked up that exact wine glass, carefully examined it for a moment, then chuckled, raising an eyebrow at the woman beside me. Right now, she had shed the greenness of a teenager, replacing it with maturity and experience. It couldn't help but make me think of what she looked like at 29. I knew she had guessed this glass of wine was spiked. After all, before time traveling, she was a rising star in the business world. Thinking of this, my finger curled slightly, gripping the tall glass firmly, offering it right up to Bianca. Not feeling well, yet deliberately drinking? I dragged out my words, carrying a vibe of reckless encouragement. So what if I told you to drink this glass? Bianca's pitch-black eyes lowered. The lights reflecting in them made them look incredibly precious. The corners of her mouth seemed to curl up just a fraction as she reached out to take the glass. Her fingertips brushed past my palm, bringing a warm sensation. Mr. Felix, if it's you, I wouldn't need to drink this, but I will always do whatever you tell me to do. Then, keeping her eyes locked on mine, she downed the entire glass in one go. As soon as we entered my apartment, I was pinned against the door by Bianca. She cradled my head, the heat radiating off her body incredibly intoxicating. Even without turning on the lights, I could feel the intense desire burning in her eyes. My hand slid over her chest, but suddenly it grasped empty air. Take a shower first, Bianca's raspy voice said as she pushed open the bathroom door. I braced my hands against the smooth tiles, feeling the warm water cascading down from above. Bianca was behind me, planting delicate and reverent kisses. Then the force shifted. It was as if everything she had just done was merely an appetizer to coax me. I tilted my head back, desperately trying to catch a breath of fresh air. The night was incredibly long, so long that it stretched from the bathroom all the way to the bedroom. The corners of Bianca's eyes were brimming with tears. I was in my element like a fish in water, completely tireless. She bit down hard on a specific spot on my collarbone, as if trying to cover something up. I don't remember when I finally fell asleep. When I woke up, the space next to me was empty. The bed sheets had been completely replaced, and the clothes scattered on the floor were all cleaned up. I felt incredibly refreshed. Still in my pajamas, I walked out to the living room and immediately smelled a delicious aroma of food. There was a sticky note plastered on the dining table. Remember to go see Mr. Jones. Remember to eat. There's hangover soup in the thermos. It'll make you feel better. At the bottom of the note was a super goofy, hand-drawn smiley face. I could totally picture Bianca furrowing her brows, looking totally serious yet embarrassed while drawing it. The corners of my mouth turned up, and I burst out laughing, my shoulders shaking. The peace-lock charm that Bianca always carried with her slipped out from around my neck. Right at that moment, the floating comments showed up at the most inappropriate time. What exactly happened yesterday? Is it something we aren't allowed to see? Woohoo! Finally managed to gift it to him. After getting married to Felix, Bianca always wanted to give that to him but never had the courage. That's the amulet her parents prayed for at the temple when she was little, blessed by the head monk for peace and health. It's super effective. It's the most precious relic her parents left her. She must have been regretting it so much, thinking that if she had just given this to the male lead back then, maybe he wouldn't have. My heart, my poor heart. I touched the peace lock, staring at that last comment with the exclamation marks, narrowing my eyes. Is this censoring information related to me? While I was deep in thought, my alarm went off. Crap, I totally forgot I had a class this afternoon, and it's with the strictest professor. Making it right on the dot, I dashed into the classroom, sat in my seat, and panted heavily. But the peace lock had fallen out while I was running. My fingertips brushed against it. It carried a faint warmth, a warmth that spread and touched my heart. I pulled out my phone and texted Bianca under the desk. Bianca, come to my place after you're done. I have something to tell you. It was time to clear up the misunderstanding about me and Chloe with her. It wasn't until after 3 periods that Bianca finally replied to my text. Okay, I packed up my books. Just as I stepped out of the school gates, someone threw their arms around me in a bear hug. Felix, great news! My grandpa's surgery was a total success. He's getting discharged soon, Chloe's ecstatic voice rang in my ear. Chloe grew up by her grandpa's side, and they were incredibly close. The old man had been hospitalized for a long time. Tyler and I had visited him before, and his condition wasn't looking great back then. This truly was great news. I smiled and patted her shoulder. Told you he'd be fine. You can finally relax now, kiddo. I'll grab Tyler and we'll go visit him together sometime. Chloe let go of me, beaming brilliantly. What do you mean sometime? Let's go today. I'll call Tyler. I grabbed her hand just as she was about to dial. Not today. I've got plans. Chloe glanced at my face, her smile slowly fading. What plans? I'll tell you when the time comes. Gotta run. I smiled mysteriously, in a pretty good mood, spun around and waved, completely oblivious to a pair of eyes watching from a distance. It was completely dark by the time Bianca showed up. Her hair was a little messy, her eyes red, and her entire being radiated a crushing aura of being utterly broken and shattered. Bianca, what's wrong? Did the negotiation fall through? I stepped closer and pulled her inside. That shouldn't be right. According to the floating comments, her project shouldn't have any issues. Standing under the light, Bianca's gaze swept over my eyebrows, the bridge of my nose, and my lips, before finally giving a reassuring smile. The collaboration went very smoothly. Hearing her say that, I felt relieved and prepared to say what I needed to say. Right, Bianca, I wanted to tell you, I bought the cake from that shop you like. Eat some first. Bianca spoke in a calm yet gentle voice, lifting a cake box right in front of me. My attention was immediately grabbed. The cake from that shop really was delicious, but the line was always crazy long. I was too lazy to wait, so I rarely ate it. Bianca slowly opened the box, scooped up a piece with a fork, and brought it to my mouth. I took a bite and nodded in pure satisfaction. Meeting her eyes, I started speaking again. Bianca, is it good? Very good. Being constantly interrupted by her, I frowned in annoyance, my voice turning cold. I want to tell you about me and Chloe. Before I could finish, the person in front of me kissed me forcefully. Her lips were trembling, filled with a fierce, unwilling yet agonizing sorrow. Her hand touched the back of my neck, pressing right against my artery, yet she couldn't bear to apply any actual force. While I was stunned, the floating comments scrolled past my eyes. You coward! Can't you even let the male lead finish his sentence? Only knows how to kiss. She saw the childhood friend hugging the male lead and was terrified he wanted to end things. Terrified he doesn't want her anymore. She was downstairs pacing for ages earlier, too scared to come up, terrified of hearing exactly what she didn't want to hear. Damn it! Stop kissing and let our male leads speak. Oh, so that's what happened. No wonder Bianca was suddenly acting so weird. My hands tangled in her hair. I was just about to pull this person, who was currently biting and kissing me like crazy, away so we could talk things out, when my lips felt a bit wet. I narrowed my eyes at Bianca, who had her eyes squeezed shut, kissing and crying at the same time. The hands I was about to use to yank her hair slowly relaxed. Felix, my collaboration really went well. I'm going to start my own business soon. I have everything planned out. Once I make money, I'll transfer all my assets to your name. I'll give you whatever you want. Just please don't abandon me, okay? Bianca finally snapped back to reality, burying her head in my neck, her voice choked with sobs, looking exactly like a pitiful puppy that had exhausted all its efforts to please its master. Bianca, do you like me that much? I casually stroked Bianca's soft hair. Bianca hugged me a little tighter, her voice deep and raspy. Yes. I looked up at the moon through the floor-to-ceiling windows and spoke slowly. Then let me make this clear. Chloe and I have never dated. That time you saw us, I was just helping her put on a play. Today, she hugged me because her grandpa's surgery was super successful. I felt Bianca's hands freeze. Her head went completely stiff, slowly lifting up from me. Those beautiful eyes were still brimming with tears. A beauty shedding tears, it truly is a sight to behold. What play? She was still a bit dazed. I looked at her and chuckled. Just acting. The reason I didn't tell you before was because I wasn't that interested in you. You won't get mad, right? Because if you're mad, I'm not going to coax you. Bianca's eyelashes fluttered as she zeroed in on the absolute most important part of my sentence. Before, didn't tell me, because you weren't interested in me? Yes! So what are you telling me now? Her hands caressed my waist. The grievance in her eyes vanished entirely, replaced by an intense, overwhelming hunger and excitement. I pinched her cheek, leaned in close, and gently kissed her lips. I'm giving you a chance to perform well. Bianca's eyes locked on. Her hands slid beneath my shirt, touching my skin with absolute reverence and care. Bianca truly gave it her all to perform, pushing herself to the absolute limit, using this youthful 19-year-old body of hers. In the middle of the night, while being held tightly from behind by Bianca, my head suddenly throbbed violently. Countless fragments of memories violently rushed in. Different images and sounds intersected, slowly becoming crystal clear in my mind. It was my memories from age 19 to 29. A college life without Bianca. Tyler and Chloe going abroad for further studies. Chloe following her family's arrangements to stay abroad and manage the company's overseas business. And me returning home at 24 to inherit the family business. At a banquet, I met Bianca, who was the rising star of the business world at the time. We interacted because of business. When my family demanded I enter a marriage of convenience, I didn't want the person my parents arranged, so I took the initiative to approach her. Miss Bianca, interested in a win-win collaboration? At the time, I thought since there were no feelings involved anyway, dealing with someone like her would probably be a huge headache. Unexpectedly, she agreed without a moment of hesitation. After getting married, she never ever interfered with any of my decisions. Whenever it was just the two of us at home, she wouldn't let the maids cook. She'd do it herself. It was always all my favorite dishes. Every time I went on a business trip, no matter how busy she was, she always took me to the airport and always arranged for someone to deliver meals to me perfectly on time. But back then, I thought she was just politely fulfilling her duties as a wife. Just putting on a show for outsiders, just like my parents' alliance marriage. Later, when she transferred the vast majority of her assets under her name to me, I genuinely thought she had a terminal illness or was planning to run away. In the end, she just casually said, "I just want to give them to you. Don't worry, they're clean." I suddenly felt a sense of ambiguity towards the person in front of me. I started to miss her. During my free time outside of work, when I was at home, I would occasionally just watch her. At age 29, I was abroad negotiating a contract, working non-stop for days. During a phone call with Bianca, I blurted out, "I suddenly want to eat your cooking." That night, I was drowning in work. Walking out of the company doors into a heavy snowstorm, I saw Bianca. She had literally just finished a meeting, hopped on a 10-hour flight, looking completely exhausted from the journey. She was wearing a black coat, tall, sharp, her face incredibly gentle. "I came to cook for you." In that exact moment, I felt that even though it was a marriage of convenience, she seemed entirely different from my parents. After returning to the country, I suddenly wanted to celebrate our wedding anniversary, a holiday we hadn't celebrated once in 5 years of marriage. That day, I called Bianca while she was at the company. "Miss Bianca, clear your schedule for me today. It's our anniversary. Let's go on a date. I'll pick you up." I heard Bianca's heavy, disbelieving gasps through the phone, but I never got to see her. I was trapped inside a mangled car. Right before I completely lost consciousness, I heard the sirens of an ambulance. It felt like I could also hear Bianca's voice. I slowly brought my hand to my chest, feeling the beat of my heart. Behind me came Bianca's soft, rhythmic breathing. I turned around to face her. Her long, thick eyelashes cast shadows over her youthful face. My fingertips traced from her eyebrows to the bridge of her nose, down to her lips, and I whispered softly, "If I died in a car crash, time traveled back, and accidentally lost my memory, then what about you? How did you manage to time travel back?" Bianca was sleeping soundly, so naturally she didn't answer me. After waiting for a long time, the floating comments finally popped up. "What just happened? Is there something we're not allowed to see again? Did the male lead regain his memories? Well, guess we can all pack up and go home then." The comments babbled for a long time before finally giving me the answer. "When she disappeared after finishing your funeral, she donated all her assets and committed suicide to follow you." My eyes trembled. It was exactly as I had guessed. But why? Do feelings really hold that much weight? I didn't understand it. If it were me, I absolutely wouldn't do something like that. But while I was spacing out, my fingertips were gently touched. "What's wrong?" Bianca's voice carried a hint of sleepiness. "Bianca, have you been secretly in love with me for years?" I leaned against the pillow, pressing close to her. Bianca was now fully awake, but completely shocked that her deepest secret had been exposed. There was a moment of sheer panic. "Why did you have a crush on me?" My voice was very light, carrying a slight choke. Bianca stared at me for a long time, then kissed my forehead. "Let me think about how to say this. Then I'll be completely honest with you, okay?" Waking up the next morning and stepping out of the room, I immediately saw Bianca bringing porridge to the table. Her back was covered in long and short scratch marks that screamed, "We had a wild night." I looked at it, my face burning red, and spun around to hit the bathroom to wash up. "I'll beat you to death, you shameless homewrecker." You're that little hussy Felix is seeing, aren't you? You seduced him, didn't you? Chloe, calm down. I was drying my face when I suddenly heard screaming from outside. Chloe? And Tyler? Crap, Tyler knows my door passcode. When I sprinted out, I saw Bianca looking absolutely icy. Chloe was screaming her lungs out, and Tyler was desperately trying to hold Chloe back. My bad. Chloe said she was going to visit her grandpa, so I figured I'd just swing by and pick you up on the way. Didn't call ahead. Just walked straight in. Tyler scratched his nose, looking awkward. My temple throbbed. I glared at him helplessly, only to see him quietly shoot me a thumbs up. Felix, tell me, did she seduce you? Chloe violently yanked her arm out of Tyler's grip and marched right up to me. Bianca was about to step forward, but I stopped her. You're taking her side? What do you even like about her? She's got a pretty face? Chloe's eyes were red, getting more and more worked up. I have one too, if it's just about having a pretty face. Chloe started tugging at her clothes, but Tyler delivered a sharp chop to the back of her neck. Can you act normal for 1 second? What kind of fit are you throwing? The hit was pretty hard. Tears instantly started streaming down Chloe's face. For how many years? I've liked you for so many years. To make you my boyfriend, I even paid Kevin to make up that story about me getting dumped. I just wanted to fake it till we made it. Tyler was abroad during that whole ordeal, so he didn't know the details. He was just mind-blown that Chloe liked me, and that he hadn't noticed for all these years. Bianca, on the other hand, had a totally calm expression, like she had seen right through it ages ago. A memory flashed in my mind. At age 24, as I was getting ready to head back home, Chloe confessed to me. I rejected her. After that, she stayed abroad. Why was this scene playing out so early now? Chloe, maybe you're just confusing friendship and love between us. I looked at her and explained, I'm not confusing anything. If I was confused, why don't I like Tyler? You got a death wish or something, Tyler retorted. Seeing the two of them about to brawl again, I quickly spoke up. Chloe, I've always considered you and Tyler as my best friends. Chloe pouted, looking incredibly wronged and totally unconvinced. Then what about her? What does she have that I don't? I sighed, slowly asking Chloe a question. Do you know what I'm allergic to? Chloe stopped sobbing. You lived abroad. You're allergic to something else now? I turned my head to look at Bianca. She whispered. Asparagus. I shifted my gaze back to Chloe. I had an allergic reaction to asparagus right in front of you once. You probably forgot. Chloe sniffled, looking like she was about to burst into tears again. Tyler couldn't take it anymore. He shot me a leave it to me look, grabbed Chloe by the collar, and half dragged, half carried her out the door. Then from outside came the crisp sound of a slap. Chloe's crying stopped instantly. After the apartment returned to its peaceful state, Bianca walked over to the dining table to serve me porridge. Sunlight streamed in through the floor-to-ceiling windows. I slowly walked up to her, stopping right across the table, flashing her a brilliant smile. Miss Bianca, clear your schedule for me today. It's our anniversary. Let's go on a date. The soup ladle clattered into the pot. Bianca looked as if she had been frozen solid. Her head slowly, mechanically lifted up. The light in her eyes slowly focused. She barely got one word out before her voice cracked. Why are you so surprised? Aren't you the same? You remembered everything. Before I could finish, I was pulled into a desperate embrace. She hugged me so hard it felt like she was trying to fuse me into her bones. My neck quickly felt wet. This person doesn't look like the type to cry easily. I stroked her hair. Bianca, stop crying. We have plenty of time. After that, I never saw the floating comments ever again. It was like some magical, inexplicable encounter. After graduating from college, I still chose to go abroad for my master's degree. It was the school as I wanted to attend. Even with a do-over, I wouldn't change that. Bianca's company was also developing steadily. She became more and more clingy with me. Whenever she had free time, she'd fly overseas to stay with me. Tyler collaborated with many celebrities and gained quite a reputation in the photography world. Chloe still chose to stay abroad. At my wedding with Bianca, I saw her again. She sat amongst the crowd, smiling at me. It was a release and also a blessing. After the wedding, Tyler handed me a gift box. Inside were the couple photos he had taken of me and Bianca. That was us at 19. On our 29th wedding anniversary, Bianca and I were in our villa. She was even more nervous than I was, gripping my hand tightly. Relax, it's fine. That night, the news reported that a drunk driver speeding on the Bay Bridge had crashed into the guardrail. That was the car that had hit me back then. Now, everything had changed. We still have plenty of time. I wrapped my arms around her neck. Yes, we have a lot of time. For example, tonight. Desire surged in Bianca's eyes. I scooped her up from the sofa into my arms. You're still wearing a button-up shirt? I raised an eyebrow. Not gonna wear something else? Whatever you say. I'll listen to you entirely.